Welcome, viewers and listeners. It's Monday, and on Monday, on To The Point, it is the Honorable Sylvan McIntyre's Day. Good morning, my brother. How are you doing?
Good morning to you, Innocent. Joseph, right?
Yeah. Gordon, Innocent, Joseph.
Oh, Gordon is the first one.
Yeah. Innocent is just a sobriquet.
Yeah, so God is innocent. Innocent is God.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, but great. Pleasant good morning to you and against the rest of the family of the GBN. I want to say thank you all very much. And to all our listeners or viewers or followers, contributors to this program, pleasant good morning to you.
How was the week?
The week was very productive.
Mm-hmm. Let's recap from what we did last week. We had to go back and then we had to give the flowers to who we had to give them.
Yes. So last week we spoke on the issue of the effective communication across and how do we communicate in crisis and disaster situations and so on. That in itself was a bit deep. I think some people really digested it, and we had some feedback on that. Even our callers, they were relevant to the process of communication. And you don't understand that even in relationship, the whole aspects of communication is very important as well.
Life on a whole. If you're lacking the ability to communicate, your life will be chaotic. Huh?
Yes. And communication is an open channel that is not simplex, it's duplex or otherwise, where you have a forward and a back. Yeah. So it's just not Innocent speaking to me and me not being able to respond to Innocent.
Then I'm conducting a monologue.
That's correct. And it's not Innocent trying to just get his information across, and I am not generating the opportunity and the avenue for him to be able to communicate with me. And what is understood to you may not be understood to me. So in effective communication, we want to ensure that the end user understand the process of the information that is sent through. Okay. And so we think when we speak about crisis management and disaster situation, that the whole aspect of putting the mechanics together, that is not just an overnight situation, because things have their own dynamic and they can change.
And I must confess that subsequent to the program last week, a number of calls came in truth and in fact, and they were appreciative for the line of communication that we had, the discourse that we had.
Great.
All right. So it's important that we do these things, because people, if not looked at in the way we look at it, these are things that can be looked over.
Yes. And in our journey in terms of disaster risk reduction and road safety, we always like to give the flowers, and we like to we would locally say big up the unsung heroes. Yeah. And over the last couple of days, over the weekend, we had some issues. We had a few road traffic accidents that we are going to speak about. Most of them, if not all of them, we believe driver error and some questionable initiatives, and we believe that most, if not all, could have been prevented. So we're going to speak about that. But I want to hinge the flowers this morning on sometimes our health responders, our hospital, or nurses, or doctors, that we tend not to give the flowers too often. Kevin, good morning to you from Ministry of Health.
Okay.
I think he's one of our followers that's always, lending his voice and his intellectual contribution towards us in our programs. And so there is one person who comes to mind, Dr. Sonia Phillip. She served in the Accident and Emergency A&E for quite a number of years. I think she's gone into retirement, but she's still serving in some capacity. This morning, I want to lend flowers to her for the service that she has given over the years at the General Hospital and throughout our communities, throughout our sports meet and everything of that sort. These persons, teachers, police officers, nurses, doctors, we need to have them always very close to, because their jobs are not always very easy. And I looked at the orderlies and the ambulance responders and some of the events which we had. And what we are observing is that there seems to be a greater sense of professionalism. They've been largely criticized for the way they handled patients and victims in the past. And we are seeing a lot of effort now in ensuring that the right things, the right approach, the equipment and so on, it is relevant to the response. In addition to what we're saying to the response and the attitude being enhanced, I was speaking to one of those officials, and they said to me that now the ambulances and most of the health places are outfitted with what we refer to as the AEDs, automated external defibrillators. Those are instruments that can help resuscitate an individual who may have a heart condition or may collapse for some other reason, and he needs to be resuscitated in a quick time. So those defibrillators, they're not cheap instruments, but we believe that they should be more prominently placed across Grenada. But flowers to Ministry of Health, I think I mentioned them in the past, but they are continuing to upgrade what they do. And that is a very noble initiative to have invested in ensuring that at least all of the ambulances are equipped with defibrillators. This is saying to us that our future could be more guaranteed in terms of our health responders and what we can do, because that's one of my initiatives, as you understand. And we reiterate that the initial response and reaction to an emergency or an accident could determine the end result or the healing and the recovery process thereafter. And if the initial response is enhanced by the attitude of the individual, by modern, very current, proper instruments and equipment, we believe that we're heading in the right direction. And it could only be up and up and up where those aspects are concerned. And I think the hospital, the health people, the nurses and the doctors, they get beat up so often for doing the things that people think that they don't do right or best, but we never highlight the good things that they do and the hours that they spend behind the scene ensuring that our health aspect is taken care of. So this morning, flowers to them.
All right, flowers to all those in the medical fraternity. Yeah, I always give them that.
You do?
Know? Yeah, I do.
Great.
I do. Because, I mean, I had a stint, in the hospital, and I saw what they did.
Yes.
You understand? So, of course, the systems aren't as we would like them to be, but
there's always room for improvement.
They work miracles with the resources that they have. Trust me. Notwithstanding the fact that there are one or two bad apples in between that.
Yes.
That's just life.
Right.
But generally speaking, our health practitioners, they do perform miracles.
Yes. And for them, it's still the principle of the 5 loaves and 2 fishes, or 2 fish. Which if you may have more than 1 2 fish, right? It depends on different type of fish, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. The 5 loaves and the 2 fishes and so on that they continue to, as you say, make miracles of. And the other aspect of that, I think last week we had International Teachers Day. Recognition of our educators in our society. And sometimes they go through a lot, and they too are some of the ones that have to make miracles at what they have. But one of the concerns that came across in my recent assessment and information related to the function is they seems to be always under-resourced at the schools. And there is this drive in most instances in kind of coercing and importuning and some soliciting things from students and parents to support the school system. And I don't think by and large that parents will not want to support their children in the school system. But I think it comes across a lot of times that some of the things that the schools request, they are things I'm sure that Ministry of Education, and if they are a religious school or otherwise, should be providing. And so it becomes an extra burden when one parent told me the last time that a teacher will be requesting funds from the students we have to get toilet tissue, we have to get printing papers, and I was like, really? I said, no. If you're raising funds for particular things, it is okay that you ask the parents, you make contribution to these things. But there are some basic things that our education system and our schools should have. And a lot of times, we don't know why parents seem to be burdened with that mammoth request from teachers, maybe. I don't know if it's principals or otherwise. But students have been pressed into. One teacher told me that the child gave up her break money one time, or his break money one time, to ensure that request was adhered to. And it's something I'm sure that Ministry of Education would want to be able to look into. Sometimes it is beyond what Ministry understands is happening you being a past teacher, behind those walls and those cuttings in those classrooms, sometimes what some of those individual teachers may involve themselves in.
I do know that from an operational perspective, the ministry would do their best to ensure all operational requisites are there.
Right.
Like your tissues and your chalk and so forth.
Right.
Ever so often you'd find if there are specialized activities or initiatives,
right,
you'd find, for example, school fair coming up.
Right.
You would hear they tell children, okay,
that's in place.
Donate, get a dozen eggs or all this sort of thing. But for operational issues, I don't know. I know the ministry usually provides, except in cases where maybe they are overused, misused, and abused, and they run out before it's time for them to be replenished and so forth. That happens at times.
So it lends itself back to quality control, supervision, and management of resources. And very often our national resources are not well utilized. And one of the reasons why it is not well utilized because our management and supervisory systems are not effective. In addition to that, the people who find themselves wanting, they're not held responsible. They're not penalized for not doing the things that they should do. And so the resources are not properly utilized. They are wasted. And then it comes back to the other end where other people have to pick up the end of the stick. And in this instance, parents.
Yeah.
So it is something that needs to be looked into. I'm absolutely certain that parents will want to support their children and their school and the education environment. But it must not be felt like a burden and an extreme cost for students to try to meet, because we are also setting a bad example. We are culturing our young ones to be beggars, in my opinion, to have to be always requesting. So when those kindergarten kids and those young children start feeling that every time there's a request, we generate a begging culture.
Yeah, but notwithstanding the fact also that there are instances where teachers use their personal funds to upkeep sometimes a child that is unfortunate or less fortunate.
You're not telling me about that innocent. Yeah. A lot of times teachers have to dig in their pockets, and sometimes parents don't even understand that. A child come and the child may lose their break money. They may be disadvantaged by some other child taking it from them. They may not have. I know teachers who have gone out of the way to get a shoe because that child shoe come flopping and the parent can't afford it. The child come, they doesn't have a bus fare to go back, and teachers would go out of the way to do that.
I mean, I could personalize it. I remembered in the past as a teacher both at Hermitage and at Paraclete Government School, I had students literally lived home with me. You know, young guys who I saw needed that you know,
blessings.
Valdan Douglas, Andy Natu, those guys, they would, you know. As a matter of fact, let me just instill a little humor. I remember in Hermitage Government School, one morning we were having this general assembly, and in the middle of the assembly, one of my students fell, one from my class.
Yeah.
So I looked at and assessed him.
Yes.
And I said, I sent another child. I said, go by Mr. Paul Richards and get a Lucozade for me.
Yes.
And when the student left going, he said, bring 2 bread and cheese too.
You want to complete me, breakfast. Yes.
So teachers do perform miracles as well too. Huh?
They do. They do. Yes.
Okay, but we want to get into the meat of the matter this morning. We're looking at conservation,
environmental protection, conserving and protecting our endangered species and so forth, and some concerns we have as it relates to road traffic safety.
Okay, so what we do, folks, we take our first commercial break and we'll be back after this. Don't you go anywhere. This is To The Point with the Honorable, I like to call him that, Sylvan McIntyre. We'll be back after this. Don't you go anywhere.
Canadians, get ready to commemorate National Heroes Day on Sunday, October 19th at the former Riviera Hotel site next to Comahorn Park. Grand dance from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. The theme for this year's commemoration, honoring our legacy, inspiring our future. This National Heroes Day commemoration promises to be one to remember, with a prayer and worship segment, the spoken word, and a powerful message from our special guest speaker. speaker. National Heroes Day Commemoration 2025 will also see the official sword turning on the grounds of the Riviera site, which will then be known as National Heroes and Heritage Park. Sunday, October 19th, 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. National Heroes Day Commemoration. Monrouge, St. George. See you there.
Brignon Miners, distributors for Johnny Walker, Smirnoff Vodka, and Campari. Giddens Healthcare Pharmacies, Haddon Plus, Dollar Savers Auto Parts, Rise and Shine Supermarket, and Glenelg Spring Water, proud partners of the 19th annual Hubbard's Legends in Concert, Sunday, November 9th, 5 p.m., Grenada Trade Center.
Got something to share?
Call us at 440-1252.
WhatsApp 405-3052 or 407-8458.
Or email gbnnews@gbn.gd.
GBN News, first, accurate, voted #1.
Welcome back, viewers and listeners, to the Point with Mr. Sylvan McIntyre. This morning, the core of our conversation would be environmental protection and conservation. Where do we start?
Oh, yeah, we start with some of our concerns, and remember that the other aspect of it, we can't go off the program without speaking on an aspect of road safety.
Of course.
Because two things we do on mornings.
Well, that's the basis for your program.
For the program,
Yes,
the road safety issues.
Did you see that accident on the Tropicana roundabout?
Yes.
This is crazy.
As a matter of fact, we are going to speak about that because I was seconds away when that happened, actually. I was coming from the Grandlands. Those kind of hours are usually on the road.
That's crazy.
And we're going to speak about that. And what we're going to do is to invite listeners, viewers, followers to figure out whether or not there is really an increase in road accidents across Grenada, Carriacou, and P.T. Martinique.
Okay, so we'll leave that for the call-in segment.
Call-in segment, yes. We have so many points that followers could chime in on this morning. But the whole aspect of our concerns, because we are in disaster risk reduction, we look at the issues before they become a crisis concern. And I think that's why we exist, Eyes on the Issues. And that's one of our programs that we're going to, because we have To The Point, we can't rename it, but really and truly, we
Eyes on the issues, yes.
Generally across Carriacou and P.T. Martinique. So we looked at our marine life that is greatly threatened. And it is threatened for a few reasons. One, I took a drive into one of the more controlled, gated areas in West Hall. You know, there's an area called the Old Harbour. Yeah. And there was one time somebody spoke of some sludge that they may have seen there. And I went in there, and there is seemingly what people call an oil spill. On the opposite side of where the spillage seems to be, there were fish kind of swimming around, flicking around, and so forth. It says that the marine life and environment is very active in that area. But it is threatened because it is maybe a butting area where yachts and
Yeah,
other
we have
things
quite a lot,
sheltered
quite
in
a
there.
number of yachts there.
And the question is, how controlled are some of our coves and the areas where we have, whether they're doing their boating legally or otherwise, and what is our environmental oversight on those areas as we have leaching and leaks into our water species. The surface of the water was silty, and you could have seen the oil that settles in those areas. And it is believed then that you may have had sunken old yachts or otherwise that went down. So there are some spars and so on that you can see sticking up from the water. The point is, do we have environmental wardens who are that vigilant, and the task and the terms of reference would speak to areas of that nature, where we would go around, look at our mangroves, look at our beaches or cove areas and the areas where our marinas and so on, and whether those kind of environments are well protected and people are adhering to standards. And if you ask me, it leaves a lot to question as to whether or not there is a structural system in place like that. And we believe before it gets worse, where our fish continue to go further out into deeper water because it is seeming that that's where they will get a more comfortable habitat. But it will affect the populating of the fish, of fishes, because they would get into the mangrove and those areas where they would do the eggs and they would do the fries and everything would come through, and then the fish population will continue to replenish. But if we had those areas affected because oil and other things from vessels and from our land, they are making their way. Last program, I think 2 programs ago, we spoke about the south of the island again, which is closer to one of our marinas, where we have these containers with oils on our roadsides. I don't know if you saw it on the dusty highway. Those containers, and they break and the oil, and you're seeing those kind of conditions across aspect of our country. So some of the places where you can go and have a swim, our beaches. How many beaches do Green have again? White and black sand beaches? I think something about 45.
Yeah.
In high 40s, just under 50.
47 thereabout.
Mm-hmm. But a lot of these beaches that people once went to, they can't use them anymore because, one, we have the increase of a lot of vehicles, derelict and otherwise, in our land space, in illegal garage spaces set up. And so, because there isn't, in my opinion, that strong, stringent, enforced environmental conditions that people should adhere to is not really happening. Those conditions are becoming worse, and it is threatening our fish life, and eventually it's going to threaten our food security. And it is one of those aspects that I have some serious concerns about, and I believe I'm advocating for. We've seen persons around that you call environmental wardens, haven't we?
Yeah, but they in my opinion, I think they more deal with the roads and so forth, the cleaning of the roadsides and things like that.
So they are soil and grass technicians, maybe, rather than environmental wardens.
That's what they do.
I believe that it's something that we can consider to protect our future, to guard what we have presently and to protect our future, that we should have a strong force, because there are persons who are within the Ministry of the Environment, etc. There will be environmental inspectors and so forth, who would, from time to time, when these things show up, I know with the derelict vehicles and all these things, they would keep the eye on that. But when you look at our mangrove areas and our beaches, our coves and inlets that I mentioned, how well protected are they? And the houses and the businesses that are established along our coastlines,
How are they being controlled?
How are they being controlled?
With disposal of waste and stuff.
And we wish that one day that some of the things that we mentioned here that require some follow-up, that the department that have direct responsibility for those areas, they can come and give us an informed position as to what's really in place for that and how that could be enhanced. But an expansion of that would be for every citizen or visitor to become an environmental protection warden themselves, meaning that we should be so cultured through even our education system, that we must be able to teach our children to have good environmental practices. The dumping of garbage, the pouring and the releasing of oil and other things into our soil and everything that would make its way into our coastal areas and into our rivers that we're going to speak about later on.
Let me ask
That's
you
an
this.
aspect we need to.
Don't you, as a former police officer,
Yes.
it is said once a police, always a police.
I want a teacher, always a teacher too. Don't get away from that.
We seem to have a problem with enforcement of the law.
Yeah.
Because there are certain laws that are in place. And ever so often, as we say it colloquially,
Yeah.
the authorities come hot and sweaty.
Yeah.
They make a big hullabaloo about something, and then it boils down like gravy.
Yes.
You understand?
Or like an ice cream in hot sun.
Definitely.
Yeah.
There was a big thrust for the removal of derelict vehicles and so forth. I am absolutely certain that if a specialist was to do a proper and a thorough investigation, 80%, maybe more, maybe a little less, of vehicular accidents that occur is because of vehicles that are inappropriately parked, left unattended, and so forth.
That is debatable though. Your
My percentage?
yeah, maybe the percentage or your assumption or your analysis of the situation could be debated in terms of the contributing factors for accidents. We had this question earlier on as to whether or not there's an increase in road accidents and so forth. And if there is, what are the contributing factors? That, what you mentioned, is definitely one of the reasons, but I'm not too sure that it is responsible for about 80%, because the subject to the statistics from the traffic department, we know that driver negligence and a lot of other things are contributing factors to the accidents on our roads. Take, for example, the one which happened in Lagoon Road. I mean, again, crazy. Not Lagoon Road anymore, but the Kirani James and just around the Aline Francis roundabout, right? And that accident that occurred, it is just like cabeza loco, man.
Yeah, muy loco.
How could you want to do something like that intentionally? Violate an aspect of the law, the road safety issue.
And a basic one.
Very, very basic. And stream over into a no entry road sign where the traffic will be coming in the opposite direction and you expect to get away. In addition to that, I'm absolutely sure that the vehicle involved, in this case the bus, was beyond the speed limit. So speeding, and one of these days we're going to engage the RGPF. We have to sit together on a round table like this, myself with them. I'm sure Corporal Paul and others would be happy for us to sit down and examine some of those issues, the questions, the whys, and the contributing factors as to what are the creation and the causes of those accidents. But from my own recollection and in conversation with them, driver error and speeding has been one of the greater contributing factors for accidents on the roads. In line with that are also the distractions of the gadgets, the phones, and other things that people do use. And down the stream, I don't know if it's foot down the stream, but obstruction along our roadways and so on. And inhibiting access to emergency response and other things. Those are some of the things that fall very high because of the parking issues of derelict and other things on our roads.
Okay. But we want to, the core topic this morning, environmental protection and safety.
Yes.
That is of key. As a matter of fact, it's very timely because only on Friday I had the folks from the Grenada Tourism Authority that they've got this environmental and dive festival where they will be incorporating the services of a number of environmental groups like Tyrone Buckmeyer and those guys and them to overlook the mangrove and what could be done to clean up and stuff like that.
I really encourage and I embrace and applaud the conversation, not referencing that last initiative. But in general, I don't think we are environmentally serious. To be honest, as a nation, as a people, I think we take too much for granted that Grenada will always be this beautiful, and we will always enjoy the kind of things that we are enjoying now. If we are serious, we're not really showing it. So then, if we're not, maybe it isn't. And I think if we are more, and I think we have an entire ministry of climate change and the environment. Yes. I think, and so when you look around. Even if people say that we are not a reading people, how many signs are you seeing around that says to you, this is a marine protected area, or this is a mangrove, or this is where the reserve forest starts and finish? And these are some things along the way that you should not see. Recently, we saw down along the Kirani James Boulevard, there was apparently issue with boating and tittering of what you call the harboring of vessels in that area, and within 150-meter area there were about 10 signs. Why can we not create similar initiative for the things that are critically important? The areas where there are rock falls, land slippage prone to, and where we do have environmental areas that should be protected, should we not be putting up more signs in those areas so that people can see? Only a couple of days ago, I was in St. Andrew, and someone was telling me, and I was hoping I was going to get a picture because I was going to pass it through Ministry of Health. There was a vehicle just dumping quite a number of stuff that should be at the landfill. They were throwing it over a wall up in the St. Andrew area, heading up towards Windsor over the wall. That's an area that is, people have reported it because they saw things dumping in that area.
Oh, I know. That's just, we could take that road and head back to Cloger.
Correct. When you come up, you know a hill called Toby Hill, right?
Yeah.
You come up that steep hill.
That's home.
And there are some walls there. And the person said to me that there was this vehicle they parked up for a considerable length of time, just dumping things over the wall, just dumping things over. If you pass it, I'm absolutely sure because it happened only, Saturday gone, where this vehicle was just dumping stuff. Had I seen it, I was going to take the picture and send it right in for the police or the Ministry of Health to find the owner. So anybody knowing or listening to this, tell them we're going to have a more vigilant eyes on those issues, because at the end of the day, the river is not too far from that area where they're dumping.
No, the river is right below.
Just at the bottom. Yeah. So when these things that are illegal, like electronics, with all of the things that can come from it, the zinc and other things that can make its way into our waters and into our river, and the whole aspect of still protecting our environment. I'm not only speaking as well about our fish, but in our rivers. How much is a pound of crayfish right now?
$30
plus.
Yeah.
Can we find crayfish very easy?
No.
Maybe not. Is crayfish also on the protected list of things that we should have an open and closed season for?
No, it's not, but it should be.
Absolutely. And that's one point I want to make this morning, because our crayfish is greatly threatened. They are overfishing, and they are illegal fishing and illegal harvesting of our crayfish. And so, sooner rather than later, the price will go up for a pound of crayfish, $50 plus, but it may get to the point where we can't find them. We are threatened with the amount of water that we're going to have in our rivers and streams in the not too distant future. Environmental and climate change condition will cause more evaporations to take place. NASA is embarking on this massive enhancement of our water supply throughout. The damming of those waters and creating more supplies other places with limited rainfall and so forth. And the impact of hurricanes and tropical cyclones that damage our vegetation will have decreased rain.
Yeah.
I will have decreased water supply in our rivers and streams. So our crayfish and these kind of a life in our they are also threatened. And I believe largely crayfish should be on our protected list. And there should be an open and a closed season. I remember a couple of years I was in Dominica, and some guys apparently, there's a closed season in Dominica for the crayfish.
Really?
Of course, it's protected.
So why not in Grenada?
I don't know why. Because
these islands, the topography is similar,
and they have more rivers than us.
365.
They have a lot more rivers than us. And they are protecting their crayfish. They have an open and a closed season for crayfish. And I only knew because I was moving with the police. And there was some guy that was moving with a bag of crayfish during the closed season. Listen, innocent. The police officers were so aggressive. To me, I felt it was an excessive use of power, but they were so mad that within the closed season, that this guy was harvesting crayfish, they took it from him, they dealt it, then they picked him up and they went with him. In Grenada, we have a closed season for the armadillo, the opossum, the manico and so forth, the ramie or birds or iguanas and so forth. And we have areas that are controlled even in, and we speak about the flora and the fauna and all that, into our reserve areas. And ever so often you see fellas early in the morning, late in the evening, 5 dogs, 6 dogs, closed season, they in the control areas hunting and moving. Who is, again, as you mentioned, enforcing that aspect of the law? So we have the environmental concern of not being able to protect the environment. And then we have the concern about the depleting of our endangered species of the creatures that we have here for our own national enhancement and for our own enjoyment and for the persons visiting us to also be part of what is sometimes unique to Grenada.
All right, folks, we need to take a commercial break. This is To The Point. It's 22 minutes on to 9 o'clock. The time is?
On to 10 already.
10. Yeah.
It's going.
See, the 10 o'clock ain't come to my system fully yet, eh?
Yeah, you can stay with it in your system, but the reality is 10 is coming.
We'll be back, folks. Don't you go anywhere.
Grenada, let's move to live. Sunday, October 26, 2025. Fitness walk beginning with warm-up at 2 p.m. at Progress Park St. Andrew. Organize your churches, clubs, family, and community. Great prizes to be won. Call 442-7450 to order your t-shirts now. Features and attractions galore to keep you moving. Hosted by the Health and Youth Departments of the Grenada Conference of Seventh-day Adventists.
The Grenville Cooperative Credit Union introduces its new digital...
Sunday, November the 9th from 5 p.m. at the Grenada Trade Center. Legends Promotion presents the 19th annual Hubbard's Legends in Concert featuring the best of Grenada, along with 2 special guest artists. This edition promises to be extra special. Get ready, Grenada, to be blown with surprises at the 19th annual Hubbard's Legends in Concert. Sunday, November the 9th, 5 p.m. Grenada Trade Center. Stay tuned to GBN for more.
Welcome back, viewers and listeners. It's To The Point. It's 19 minutes on to 10 o'clock. And back to Mr. Sylvan McIntyre, the honorable guy.
Yes, Mr. Innocent. Again, we did speak about the whole environmental issue and our concern about quite a number of things. And what I'm going to say now still is an expansion of eyes on the issues and people holding responsibilities for our safety on our roads, our safety of the environment, and our food safety, one of the greater concerns, because as an ethnic person with certain conditions, you don't play with our bellies and our stomach. Give us, take away a lot of things from us, but
not
don't
food.
treat our food. We would be very bad about that. But on a different note, I observed recently, and a few persons have been speaking about it, I think quite a while now, maybe over 6 months, we spoke about on the Grande Town Road, that's that road heading up to the General Hospital. Precariously perched over is that wall, a piece of wall that it should have been a retaining wall. But for a while now, it seems to be leaving its foundation or otherwise, and it's leaning towards our roadway and road space. And we're hoping that it would be addressed in short time before it creates a problem to somebody else or it ends in some level of fatality. Remember, somewhere along the Hope side a couple of years ago, a retaining wall came down and ended up in fatality. Those are some of the things as we were speaking off air. Where are the persons with that kind of either you have safety inspectors or otherwise, or environmental concerns and issues that becomes their responsibility, the safety issues. Now, everybody's responsibility end up being nobody's responsibility. But if there are persons who are specifically tasked with those level of risk, and that's why we took up these, because we realize there are so many issues where the safety on our roads are concerned. You look at some of, not just that wall going up towards on the Grande Town Road, but you look at some buildings across, you look at the library, you look at the old drill yard area and those places where you have trees and branches from trees coming through some of these structures, generating a risk. But in addition to that, as you drive around our country, there are a number of, in my opinion, abandoned houses and buildings. And it is an ISO in a lot of instances, and in some, it's a road safety issue for pedestrian as well as motorists. And so these are the things that we hope that a generation of persons that will come up with the energy, with the insight, and with that intuitive spirit of safety, they will work on that to ensure that our environment and our road space are much safer. I walked in again in the south of the island. We mentioned the Caracom roundabout one time, and we thought it was not a good idea to have created a plantation on that roundabout, the bananas and the blogger, etc. Well, they have since grown, harvested and removed. And then we saw the golden palms that were still planted. We mentioned in the not too distant future, the golden palms will grow up and they will limit the vision and the view of persons in that roundabout. So I know they're going to move it down the road. But in addition to that, we saw in the middle of the two strips of the Morris Bishop Highway, there were some plants many years ago, like flowers that were planted there. They were removed eventually. Some of them are still growing back from the left. And it was removed because it was considered to be a safety for road users, pedestrians, etc. It was obscuring vision. But as you come between the sugar mill and the Rams as well, that space, I think one of the banks seemed to be maintaining that roundabout area. But the flowers, they have overgrown as well. So when you're coming from the valley, from that small roundabout with those small writing that says where you're going, etc., that should be enhanced, the font, etc. But when you leave the valley road coming through, Rams on the left, Sugar Mill on your right, the clump of flowers in there, you have to look really careful to see if there's a vehicle coming across from
the roundabout.
And I only realized, oh my goodness, it creates an additional blind spot in your vehicle as you move through, because it has grown to that point. You have to keep looking to see if somebody is rushing. And it's not just about you should approach with caution, and yes, you should, but also your vision should not be obstructed. And I think that is one of the things that they need to work on kind of quickly.
Okay.
urgently.
All right, folks, it's now 14 minutes on to 10 o'clock, and we want to give you as much time as we possibly can so that you can chip in on the conversation. And we're talking environmental safety and conservation this morning. What can we do to better keep our environment safe?
And the big question, one of the questions we want to ask you, whether or not, whether you think that there is an increase in road traffic accidents in Grenada and why?
Okay. So, you know the number, 435-2041. Let's go to the telephone line right away. Good morning, caller. Welcome.
Yeah, good morning, Innocent, and good morning, Mr. McIntyre. By the way, what's about our friend GT? I missed him.
He's missing, but he'll be back.
Okay, all right. Thanks. Mr. McIntyre, you're saying, and you know, I'm serious about that. You're saying a number of things that is something I've been saying a long, long time ago. But unfortunately, instead of listening and hearing what people like myself and others have had to say, we have vilified them, we have deported them, we have ostracized them, we have demonized them. But it's better late than never. Now, I would say that we want to eat our cake and have it. We want to have the benefit of consumerism without understanding the cost of that. Like efficiency, going with the plastics, instead of going with a towel or a basket or something like that, and then we end up polluting the environment. That is just one example. When we could just simply do, the basic thing, go with something. Additionally, we are as a country, we are talking about sustainability, we are talking about climate change, we are accusing people in the north of causing the problem, and yet we are running speed, full speed, we want to go into fossil fuel and all of that. We talking about smart agriculture. I mean, because these have been, imposed on us. I think what is needed, Mr. McIntyre, and thing is for us to become extremely honest, which we have not been. And I say that to say, one of the issues in Grenada is capacity. We talk about the lack of enforcement. The fact is that there are little trained people to enforce many of the laws in Grenada. And don't forget what we did with the 3 for 10 under the IMF program. So all of these things, and finally, I know I could talk for the morning, but finally, we know that when that group called Environmental Warden was established, it had nothing to do with the environment. It was just a way of giving certain people jobs, certain supporters jobs, the children jobs. It had nothing to do with protecting the environment. And I said finally, we have to help people understand the value of public health, environmental health, and also environmental protection. Thank you.
Thank you very much, caller.
Very much. On point. I think he has hit the note, as usual, in terms of where we should be going with our environmental issues. As a matter of fact, he just compounded the information that we learned that it is important that we looked into.
Okay. We do have another caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome. Caller, good morning. Welcome to the point.
Good morning, Mr. Joseph and Mr. McIntyre. Mr. McIntyre, Mr. McIntyre, the same wrongs about you're talking to the bottom wrongs about, where they have the CARICOM wrongs about. The guy selling the coconut water, they're selling the coconut water too close to the wrongs about. When you're trying to swing, you're coming from land, True Blue and all those kind of things, they're right wrong the corner. I think somebody should do something about that and tell them go higher up and sell the coconut. They're too close to the wrongs about. And another thing again about the job every year. We're getting more job and more job. Where they going on bed when they finish? In the sea. More pollution. Years from now, we wouldn't be seeing the bottom of the water, if they continue with more job and more job. So all those things, they have to see what they could do about that. Okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you, caller.
Yeah.
Job is in the equation as well.
Yes. I didn't look at it from that angle. Despite with oil goes to the surface rather than to the bottom. So what else would be the sediments?
Yeah.
So we have another caller.
Okay. Yeah, we do. Good morning, caller. Welcome.
Yes, good morning.
Welcome to the program.
Yes, concerning the environment, Mr. McIntyre was saying, good morning to both of you at first.
Yes, sir.
Good morning. Welcome.
As Mr. McIntyre was saying about the South St. George area, where we have so much of the hotels existing there, and that water drainage, I made that suggestion before, that probably a reservoir could be built in the end of that drainage to collect a big quantity of water and put an electrical pump there. When that water reaches to that pump, it will automatically pump through the water probably a couple of miles out to sea and keep that water level there, not as it is now. And for years it has been like that.
That's it?
Yes.
Thank you, caller.
Very useful contribution. I do support the idea. It's one of the things that we spoke about. It's actually, I saw a process like this in action in Suriname. You know, they have lots and lots of water and flood in a lot of places. I think some aspect of Guyana as well.
Yeah.
And so because some of the space will be under sea level, they'll have to use those pump, and they are what you call levels activated. So when it gets to a particular level, then it kicks in. Yeah.
All right, we do have another caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome.
Good morning to you both, gentlemen.
Good.
Yeah. The last caller made a valid point. I believe that there should be more catchment. People should be, like, even in the heart of St. George, a lot of the businesses there, the water is deposited into the drain, which contributes to flooding. So if we could harvest the water, use it to wash our vehicles, wet our plants, mop our floors, that could be something that could be looked into or encouraged. I also want to say here that Professor K must not come across as if he knows everything. And I heard he's talking about the environmental health wardens were just put in place to give people a job. Let me correct him. My name is Kevin Frederick, and I work at the Ministry of Health. And Mr. McIntyre would recall that. When the environmental health wardens program came into place, it was to give support to the environmental health officers during the COVID-19 period, to ensure that places were well regulated in terms of following the guidelines, to assist those on the port and airports and so on. Today, they are fully integrated into the Ministry of Health Environmental Health Program, where they work along with the environmental health officer for the respective districts. They are engaged in a number of things. So when you making those kind of statements, and these statements can demoralize people because he does not know. And when people get onto a radio station and make those kind of baseless comments, it hurts people. Because I am sitting here next to a warden, and she's asking what nonsense he's speaking. He doesn't know. And this is the way others feel. So like I said, it was brought in during the COVID-19 period. There were environmental health wardens and officers down at our seaports assisting, because you have a number of people, yachties and so on, were coming in, so they had to help process people. There are wardens in Carrico right now who working along with Mr. Modest. There are wardens all over the island, and they are working. They sometimes when we get calls, we will pass the message on to them. They will go out and investigate the complaints likewise. So when people do not know, please step back and ask a question before you come and make those kind of comments and then on radio that could demoralize young people. Have a good day.
Thank you very much, Mr. Frederick.
Thank you very much, sir. Not much for me to say, if any.
Okay. We have a caller via WhatsApp. Good morning, caller. Welcome.
Hello. Good morning.
Hi, welcome to the program.
There is a saying that where there is no vision, the people perish. I think that's a very important saying. It's not just from a religious, spiritual standpoint, but it's also from a secular standpoint. I think with regard to the environment, we have to be very intentional. Grenada has a lot of educated people. We have a lot of smart people in Grenada. We have a lot of people, I think we probably have a lot of people with the expertise, and we have to be very intentional. There's a science about it. And it's, if you look at it in good intention, intentionally, it's actually a low-hanging fruit. We hear from morning to morning about the traffic report, and we hear bumper to bumper that area, and leave home earlier if you're going to get to work on time, and so on and so on. But meantime, and while that's good and should continue, There are a lot of other low-hanging fruits. What about the derelict vehicles parked on the side of the road that leading to obstruction over and over again? Are the traffic people seeing those things? I mean, those are low-hanging fruit. It's there at 5 o'clock, it's there at 6 o'clock, it's there at 8 o'clock, the next day, and so on. That's not just a temporary problem. So why are we not having the guts to address those things? A couple years ago, we were hop on the bandwagon about those things. What happened? And so, I think it's time that we have some sort of community forum where stakeholders, people are interested. There are people, and there should not be any age barrier, because we hear, once somebody's over 40 something, like they all go and retire and sleep. We have a lot of people. Grenada, take my word, listen to me carefully. Grenada has a lot of people with expertise who are in the diaspora and so on. It's time for us to have a dedicated, intentional town hall kind of scenario where people will express themselves with the science to back it up. Other countries are grappling with over-tourism, with destruction of the environment and so on. Is that what's going to become of Grenada sooner or later? If we don't do something about it, that's probably where we're heading.
Thank you very much, caller. Thank you very much for that contribution. The very, very thoughtful words. This caller has been trying to get in for the longest while. Good morning, caller. Welcome.
Hi, good morning. Innocent, how are you doing?
Alive and thankful. How about you?
Okay, bless. Last night there was a problem with a hole in the road in the Perseverance area. And one person get a tire slash, another vehicle or come in another car and got 2 tires slash, then a bike got his tire slash. So I think it's something that the authorities should look into urgently, because people having new tires and expensive vehicles, and the tires are being damaged. And I understand that it happened to many other persons in the last couple of weeks. So I would like the authorities to do something about that urgently, please. Thank you.
Thank you, caller.
Yeah, caller. We really thank you for that, because it's a recurring problem across our roads, where these potholes, they just show up really quickly. And so I think one of our programs, we question the quality and integrity of the aggregates that they use for those, because those holes pop up so quickly and they're so deep. A lot of people are losing tires, they're losing bushings, they're losing ball joints quite a bit. And so the caller really has a point that those things, while they're not preventable, but they should be addressed with some level of urgency.
Folks, we've exhausted our time. Wrapping up.
We could take the last caller. We have one?
Yeah, let's take our final caller. Good morning, caller. Welcome.
Good morning.
Hi, welcome to the program.
I want to talk about the road problem. This kind of a road they're building nowadays is not no road. I track. Road not supposed to be sitting on top of mud. I work with government for 27 years operating grader. And we used to put stone in the road, and then after you put the hot mix over it, them guys and them putting mud now. So they wear the road and them can't last long, and you're getting some deep pothole in the road.
Thank you.
Wow. That's I guess the voice of experience, and it leads back to engineering designs and oversight of inspecting quality control and all that on our roads. So we mentioned it before, but it's something that requires some bit of in-depth follow through. Again, as you said, we're coming to the end of this program. We urge everyone to be careful on our roads, ensure that you check your vehicles, ensure that you follow road signs, traffic signs, and remember, one of our responsibility will be toward the environment in terms of our actions. I did say when we were off air that my new engagement will not allow me to be as consistent on the program on Mondays as I have been for the past, but the program will not drop. I'll be not available for a short period of time. Other members of the AMSA for the Asha McIntyre Safety Foundation for Roads, who definitely represent and fill in on those spots. So I really thank you all for your support throughout the calls. I met a gentleman a couple of days ago. He said, we follow your program. I said, okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
And everybody else. I would be able to chime in maybe from wherever I am. My new engagement, I could do some virtual ever so often as well.
We could accommodate that.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's not going anywhere.
No.
We need that.
Okay, thank you, sir.
And all the best with your future endeavors. And home is where the heart is always.
Yes.
Folks, that's it for To The Point for today. It's 1 minute after 10 o'clock. Thank you for your participation and contribution. We look forward to another engagement at a later date. Bye bye. Love you.